When I was a boy, I dreamed of African lions, Asian tigers, Australian kangaroos, till my brother told me late one night while we were camping that Texas has lions too. As I laid there in the darkness, listening to the coyotes howl, imagining I could hear a mountain lion growl, thinking about what else could be out there, my brother said, don't worry, there's no reason to be scared. All those animals out there belong out there. We have mountain lions and bobcats, porcupines, free-tailed bats, possums, beavers, gray and red fox, coyotes, black bears, and ocelots, rock squirrels, raccoons, ring-tailed cats, javelina skunks, and jackrabbits, cottontails, field mice, white-tailed deer, and those are just the mammals that we have here. Among the birds, please don't forget the heron and the egret, pelicans, seagulls, and the roadrunner, bald eagles, turkeys, and the little bitty hummers, all the little quail that live on the ground, screech owls that live near town, mockingbirds, blue jays, turkey buzzards, doves, cardinals, and many others, rattlesnakes, coral snakes, horned lizards, turtles and eels in the rivers, geckos, skinks, frogs and toads, and the colored chain of lizards we call anoles, tons of fish including rays, sharks and dolphins in our bays. You can probably think of others of our native Texas sisters and brothers. So when you walk outside, remember you're walking in someone's home. Remember to be polite and careful about where you roam. Those branches that you break without thinking and quite casually are the furniture in someone's home tree. We have mountain lions and bobcats, porcupines, free-tailed bats, possums, beavers, gray and red fox, coyotes, black bears, and ocelots, rock squirrels, raccoons, ring-tailed cats, javelina skunks, and jackrabbits, cottontails, field mice, white-tailed deer, and those are just the mammals that we have here. Among the birds, please don't forget the heron and the egret, pelicans, seagulls, and the roadrunner, bald eagles, turkeys, and the little bitty hummers, all the little quail that live on the ground, screech owls that live near town, mockingbirds, blue jays, turkey buzzards, doves, cardinals, and many others, rattlesnakes, coral snakes, horned lizards, turtles and eels in the rivers, geckos, skinks, frogs and toads, and the colored chain of lizards we call anoles, tons of fish including rays, sharks and dolphins in our bays. You can probably think of others of our native Texas sisters and brothers. I am the king of Central Texas. All the land and the water is mine. I take food from the white-tailed deer, homes from the quail, and keep humans sick most of the time. I'm the noble Ashe Juniper, the small mountain cedar, but I'm tough and I'm green and I'm mean. All I want is to make all of Texas like me, all stinky and prickly and green. Long ago this land had a king called Fire, and Fire was a very good king. He made the forests and the grasslands live together in peace, with room for each living thing. This king had a queen, and she was called Water, a beautiful, life-giving queen. She was the rain and the rivers, the streams and the marshes, the crystal clear, icy cold springs. All the creatures loved the queen and would visit her daily, and she gave them all they would need. And they all lived in peace and shared what they had without monopoly or greed. But along came a new king who conquered the Fire King and made a slave of the queen. And the balance was broken, and I saw my chance to claim all the wildlands for me. So one by one, I killed all the grasslands and took the cute, fuzzy animals' homes. And I strangled the trees that weren't just like me, because I like to live all alone. And I snuck all the water away from the new king and stopped all the icy clear springs. Now I'm king of the rocks and he's king of the pavement, and there's room for few native things. Because I am the king of Central Texas, all the land and the water is mine. I take food from the white-tailed deer, home from the quails, and keep humans sick most of the time. I'm the noble Ashe Juniper, the small mountain cedar, but I'm tough and I'm green and I'm mean. All I want is to make all of Texas like me, all stinky and prickly and green. But a few of the creatures who somehow survived have tried to convince the new king to restore the balance, to replant the grassland, but to do so they'll have to face me. So now you must decide, whose side are you on, the cute fuzzy creatures or me? I'll let you keep the pavement, and I'll keep the rocklands all stinky and prickly and green. I'll let you keep the pavement, and I'll keep the rocklands all stinky and prickly and green. Graceful in the air like an eagle, wings stretching 6 feet across, floating in the sky without effort, taking yet another afternoon off. Turkey Buzzard has no enemies. Turkey Buzzard has few friends. Up in the cloudless sky of Texas, he's watching our beginning and our end. He's watching our beginning and our end. Doing a job that no one else will. Plenty of work and plenty of rest. Going through life like an outcast. Floating in the sky's what he likes best. Turkey Buzzard has no enemies. Turkey Buzzard has few friends. Up in the cloudless sky of Texas, he's watching our beginning and our end. Walking down the highway, looking kind of hungry. Nobody knows your name, and as long as you keep your distance, no one seems to care. He's alone, but not lonely. Just as happy with a friend or two. Doesn't care that no one understands him. He might just have a better life than you. Oh Lord, if you make me come back to this world, to live within this desert of life, I don't mind if you make me a turkey buzzard, just so long as I can fly like he does in the sky. Turkey Buzzard has no enemies. Turkey Buzzard has few friends. Up in the cloudless sky of Texas, he's watching our beginning and our end. He's watching our beginning and our end. I'm the last Acrocanthasaurus. I'm so lonely. looking for an Acrocanthasaurus female I can call my own. But I'm the last Acrocanthasaurus, there'll never be another. Soon I'll be extinct, soon I'll be gone. Now we're gonna travel 100 million years to the future. The year is now 1550. I bet you didn't know that Texas once had seals that swim in the surf and I would lie in the sun. But now I'm all alone, I'm the last Texas seal. Soon I'll be extinct, soon I'll be gone. Do you really want to live in a world without bald eagles? Do you really want to live in a world without horned lizards? Do you really want to live in a world without Atwater prairie chickens? Because soon they'll be extinct and you'll be all alone. Your house cats may soon be the only animals left. Before you know it, they will have eaten everything else. All the songbirds, the racing lizards, the baby possums, until only you're left, and then you'll sing. I'm the last human, I'm so lonely. I let my cats eat everything else. Now they're hunting for me. Oh no, soon I'll be extinct, soon I'll be gone. I'm the last Acrocanthasaurus, I'm so lonely. Remember me whenever you sing this song. How sad it is to be left all alone, just waiting for the day when I will finally be gone.
Sam Hole, I'm a city man.
City man.
My name it is Sam Hole, I'm a city man.
City man.
My name it is Sam Hole, and I cleared my land of all the trees both great and small, 'cause it's my land.
It's my land.
I dug up the native grass, so they said.
So they said.
I dug up the native grass, so they said.
So they said.
I dug up the native grass, the native mammals I harassed. I fed the songbirds to my cats, 'cause it's my land. I planted St. Augustine on my land.
On my land.
I planted St. Augustine on my land.
On my land.
I planted St. Augustine 'cause it's a lovely green. But my water bill's extreme and I'm so mad. I cut down the mesquite trees, so they said.
So they said.
I cut down the mesquite trees, so they said.
So they said.
I cut down the mesquite tree just to park my SUV. Now the temperature's 103 and there's no shade. Now I live in a suburban parking lot.
Parking lot.
I live in a suburban parking lot.
Parking lot.
I live in a suburban parking lot, and it's always blasted hot. And my wife complains a lot 'cause there's no shade. I complain about pollution all the time.
All the time.
I complain about pollution all the time.
All the time.
I complain about pollution all the time. And the traffic is a crime. And the fault it is all mine 'cause I cleared the land. So I'm moving to the country one fine day.
One fine day.
I'm moving to the country one fine day.
One fine day.
I'll move to the country one fine day, but I'll keep my city ways. And if a tree gets in my way, I'll cut it down.
Don't know if he made A's or B's. Don't know if he was ADD. Don't know if he was like you or me, 'cause he was raised by Cherokees. Raised by Cherokees. Not on the streets of a city. Not in a school like you or me. He was raised by Cherokees. In the forest, the plains, and the sea. He saw things I never had time to see. Sitting in a class studying history, 'cause he was raised by Cherokees. Raised by Cherokees, not on the streets of a city, not inside like you or me. He was raised by Cherokees, sitting on his grandma's knee with his elders in a teepee. While we took their land, you see, he was raised by Cherokees. Raised by Cherokees, not on the streets of a city, not inside in front of the TV. He was raised by Cherokees. 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 He was a Texas revolutionary, from general to the presidency. If you'd read your history, you know he was raised by Cherokees. Raised by Cherokees, not on the streets of a city, not in a school like you or me. He was raised by Cherokees. 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 The coyotes howl, the screech owl sings its lonely evening song, and the fireflies gently float in the breeze as our dark path rambles along. Yesterday's Texas is fading out in the sunset, like a dream it gently slips away. All of my best friends have too soon forgotten the places and the faces and names, the sounds of the stream, the smell of the warm grass, the feel of the hot morning sun, the taste of the water in the crystal clear pool as the white-tails look up and run. Yesterday's Texas is fading out in the sunset, like a dream it gently slips away. All of my best friends have too soon forgotten the places and the faces and names. Someday the eagles and wolves will return, and not once will they wonder where we've gone. Or the future will hold things now undreamed of as this world that we know passes on. Yesterday's Texas is fading out in the sunset, like a dream it gently slips away. All of my best friends have too soon forgotten the places and the faces and names. Just one more time, let me sit in the shade of that big pecan tree by the stream and paddle my canoe away from your crowds and your noise and your lights and your big city dreams. This old Texan is fading fast in the sunset, like a dream I'll gently slip away. And all of my memories will soon be forgotten, all the places and faces and names. All of my memories will soon be forgotten, all the places and faces and names. In the county of El Carmen, a great misfortune befell. The major sheriff is dead. Who killed him, no one can tell. At 2 p.m, in half an hour or less, they knew that the man who killed him had been Gregorio Cortez. They'd let loose the bloodhound dogs. They followed him from afar, but trying to catch Cortez was like following a star. All the rangers of the county were flying, they rode so hard. What they wanted was to get the $1,000 reward. In the county of Kansas, they quartered him after all. Though there were more than 300, he leapt out of their corral. Then the major sheriff said, as if he was going to cry, Cortez, hand over your weapons. We want to take you alive. Then said Gregorio Cortez, and his voice was like a bell, you will never get my weapons till you put me in a cell. Then said Gregorio Cortez, with his pistol in his hand, ah, so many mounted rangers just to take one Mexican. In the county of El Carmen, a great misfortune befell. The major sheriff is dead. Who killed him, no one can tell. At 2 p.m, and in half an hour or less, they knew that the man who killed him had been Gregorio Cortez. They let loose the bloodhound dogs. They followed him from afar. But trying to catch Cortez was like following a star. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge, I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd closed and the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, it's the cursed cold and it's gut right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that, foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. A pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore that I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart, how I cursed that load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then here said I with a sudden cry is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked and it's time I looked. Then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, "Please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge I cremated Sam McGee." We sat within the farmhouse old, whose windows, looking o'er the bay, gave to the sea breeze damp and cold an easy entrance night and day. Not far away we saw the port, the strange old-fashioned silent town, the lighthouse, the dismantled fort, the wooden houses, quaint and brown. We sat and talked until the night descending filled the little room. Our faces faded from the sight, our voices only broke the gloom. We spake of many a vanished scene, of what we once had thought and said, of what had been and might have been, and who was changed and who was dead. And all that fills the hearts of friends when first they feel with secret pain their lives henceforth have separate ends and never can be one again. The first slight swerving of the heart that words are powerless to express, and leave it still unsaid in part, or say it in too great excess. The very tones in which we spoke had something strange I could but mark. The leaves of memory seemed to make a mournful rustling in the dark. Oft died the words upon our lips, as suddenly from out the fire, built of the wreck of stranded ships, the flames would leap and then expire. And as their splendor flashed and failed, we thought of wrecks upon the main, of ships dismasted that were hailed, and send no message back again. The windows rattling in their frames, the ocean roaring up the beach, the gusty blast, the bickering flames, all mingled vaguely in our speech, until they made themselves a part of fancies floating through the brain, the long-lost ventures of the heart that send no answers back again. Oh, flames that glowed, oh, hearts that yearned, they were indeed too much akin. The driftwood fire without that burned, the thoughts that burned and glowed within.